Is your puppy struggling with potty training? Maybe your puppy seems perfectly content with his potty routine. You know, going inside and outside and really wherever he wants. But you're the one that's struggling? Potty training is one of those things that can make us super frustrated and be kind of confusing. After all, why can't that cute little furball just learn to go out the door and do his business outside? It seems like this phase lasts forever. Am I right? But I'm here to tell you that you will get through it and your puppy will eventually go outside for all of his business needs. But it takes time and training. Michelle here with How to Train a Dream Dog. Now, before I share some crucial potty training tips with you, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the next video comes out soon. I don't want you to miss it. If you spend any time on this YouTube channel, or in my Facebook group, Puppy Training with Michelle Lennon, or on my website, or in any of the blogs, by now you surely have seen my new puppy starter kit. I have that thing shared all over the place because it's absolutely one of the most valuable free resources we offer, and everybody loves the poop out of that thing. Speaking of poop, the new puppy starter kit is really the first place you want to go if you're having potty training troubles with your puppy, or you're cleaning up poop and pee a lot. It includes all kinds of awesome information, including a sample schedule, a troubleshooting guide, aka the cheat sheets. There are 10 pages of tips in there on how to teach your puppy where to go and what to do. That's a lot of tips in there. And there's a full lesson on how to teach your puppy to notify you via bells that he has to go potty outside. You will also find lots of great videos on this channel on potty training, including this one and this one. And finally, you'll get tons of great advice from me and my team in that Facebook group that I mentioned, Puppy Training with Michelle Lennon. The digital kit and the group links are below this video. But maybe you still have some questions about potty training. I'm here today to go over some of the most common questions we get about potty training troubles. Now, this video is for those of you who are in the thick of it. You've been working on this for a while and some things are clicking and just others aren't. I'm going to run today's video a little bit different than my others. I'm going to actually take some questions that have been posted in my Facebook group and I'm going to share them with you here. And then I'm also going to share my answers too. I guarantee that even if they aren't your exact questions, you are going to learn something. Are you ready? Let's dig into the first question. Help! Potty training is not going well. My dog keeps pooping on the kitchen rugs even after I take him outside. And he has pooped and he peed outside. I have scrubbed the rugs with the enzyme spray, but it doesn't seem to stop him from pooping on them. I have been on a schedule and we do have some good days, but I live in Chicago and the weather will be getting cold and going outside may not always be to my advantage. Please give me some suggestions on how to stop my dog from pooping on the kitchen throw rugs and to continue to let me know when he needs to go out. FYI, the bells didn't work for Enzo. Alright, there's a lot to dissect here. Have you heard me say before that dogs like squishy areas for their potty breaks? Yep, they do. They are naturally drawn to them. That's one reason why we don't recommend any bedding in the crate for a very long time. And another reason why inviting your dog in your bed before he's rock solid on his potty training is just a bad idea. In this case, I would recommend that the puppy parent manage the environment, not the animal. That means pulling up those rugs, at least for now. Even with the most powerful enzymatic cleaner, there's tiny little droplets of urine and poo that just get soaked into those fibers, and it is impossible to extinguish them all, especially to the dog's powerful nose. And to that tempting spot, it's almost like you've got a neon sign that says, "Go here." So first, it's time to pull up those rugs. Next, I want to address going outside in the cold. Yep, cold happens. So does rain and snow and wind and heat. In fact, this video here, I talk all about the different weather conditions that you and your puppy may encounter and how to teach him to do his business in all of them. Dogs learn from routine and consistency. So I do not recommend having different potty routines just when it's cold, or windy, or it's Tuesday morning and you have yoga class. Keeping that spot the same, regardless of weather, is going to be super important. Now, this person said that the bells didn't work for her dog, and she wants some suggestions on how to make sure he signals when he needs to go out. Well, I hate to say it, but that's what the bells are for. In my online class, students in the pro level, they come into the Zoom calls and we go over behaviors like this. So if this person was on a Zoom call, I would have asked a lot more questions about the bell training and where it might have went wrong. Most likely, the human advanced a little too quickly through the steps and Enzo didn't quite follow along as quickly. Whenever something isn't working, it is time to take a step back and spend some more time on that last step that didn't work, even if that means going back to the beginning. So my last recommendation would be to work on the bell system again from the beginning. And if she doesn't want to use the bells, that's okay. But then we need to decide what system Enzo should use to signal that he needs to go potty. If you don't know what signal your dog is using to go potty, then he certainly doesn't know either. All right, that was a good one. Are you ready? Let's try another question now. Here goes. We have had our puppy for 1 week and he is now 9 weeks old. Potty training is going terribly and we are all feeling the puppy blues pretty bad. We take him out very often, twice an hour, unless he is asleep. But when he goes out and he goes potty, he will come back in like 5 minutes later and go on the floor. When I stay outside longer with him, he will pee a few different times. When should I be concerned about a UTI or something? Or is this normal? It just seems like he never really gets it all out. He is a Labrador Retriever. Also, should I give him a treat every time he goes outside? I feel like he has so many treats with how often we take him out. Alright, well, we have a lot going on this one too, but I can definitely give this person some really good advice. Now, I want to remind you all the 4 main elements of potty training. Number 1, reward when he does the right thing in the right spot. Number 2, restrict access in the home to prevent accidents and bad habits from forming. Number 3, clean up with the right products, like a Nature's Miracle. And number 4, stick to a routine. It really sounds like they do have some sort of routine and they're taking him out, but at 9 weeks old, he should be able to hold his bladder for maybe about 2 hours. So taking him out about twice an hour is a little much. I like that they are attentive, but I can see how this would be frustrating. And the pup is probably confused too. So I would say time to adjust the schedule and take a look at the sample schedule in the new puppy starter kit and build from there. Now, we also have this great video here. That's a pretty super popular one, all about building a schedule that works for you. The next big thing I would ask this person is about the space in their home. She didn't mention any kind of crate or puppy pen setup. So the more space he has to move around, the more his system remains active and then the more he'll need to go out. Now this also means that the more places he has to hide from you and you don't notice his signals that he needs to go out. So restricting his space in the home isn't for punishment. It's to help prevent bad habits from forming. And going potty inside is definitely a bad habit we want to prevent from forming. Now, we want to reward him every time he is going potty. We want to throw a birthday party. But I want to make sure you hear me on 2 tiny details of this process. The reward needs to happen outside, right after the potty break is done, and the birthday party that accompanies the treat needs to take place after the full potty break is done. If you start throwing a birthday party when your pup just starts to squat, he's going to be so excited that he's probably going to forget what he's doing and he's going to run over to you to join in the celebration. Do yourself and your pup a favor and wait until he's done. Now, there's also an important point in this question that I want to mention. Some dogs are what we call double peers. Yep, that means they need to go twice, or maybe even more. You will start to notice if your dog is like this. But the best thing to do is try to guide them around to the potty spot just a little bit more in case they need to go. Sometimes that movement helps move other things along too. And once you figure out if your dog needs to go multiple times, this is going to help you time your reward and your birthday party and not bring him in too soon either. Now, another thing I noticed about this question, the pup is 9 weeks old. 9 weeks! I know that it can be confusing because the dog can run and jump and play and bark. And when humans can do that, it means they're definitely able to control their bladder. But humans and canines are different. At 9 weeks old, our puppy's brain is like that of a newborn baby. Most puppies, but not all, are potty trained by about 6 months of age. So this family has a little ways to go before this is abnormal. Potty training involves time and training. You have to teach them what you want them to do and reinforce it hundreds of times. And you have to let time pass so their brains and their bodies can develop. Young puppies, just like human babies, don't even know that they're going potty, much less how to hold it until they're in the right spot. Now, as their brains develop and grow, they will start to understand this more and more. But you can't do it relying just on time, and you can't do it relying just on training. So it sounds like a little check of expectations are in order for this human. Now, just one more point I want to mention about this one. Yes, it can feel like you are a treat vending machine for your puppy. All day, all the time. Treats, treats, treats. Well, that is how your dogs learn. So we do have to build that into their daily food intake for the day. There are other forms of rewards too, like praise or petting or access to something they love or even play. But we like to use treats for positive reinforcement for potty training at first, just because it's an important thing that we really want them to learn. And treats are a really great reinforcement. So for some dogs, they are even higher value than just saying good boy or a pet behind the ears. And we can control the timing of when the treats are delivered. This really helps our pups learn that going potty in that spot is the right thing. Here's a pro tip. You can use your dog's regular kibble for rewards, or you can even buy a different kind of kibble. And after you've actually introduced it to them slowly, you can use that for the treats. Sometimes just the fact that it's different is exciting enough. Awesome. All right, another really good question there. Time to move on to another one. All right, here we go. After 2 weeks of no accidents, we opened up another room for our 15-week-old puppy to explore. She peed in there. Every time she went in, I followed her around the room, and the one time I had to get my son a glass of water, our pup went into the dining room and peed. Do we make the room off limits again, or should we give it some more time? Not sure if this is normal or not the first time they are exposed to a new room. Okay, this is a good one for a few key points. Now, at 15 weeks, the pup has had a few weeks of doing well. That's great, that sounds pretty normal, but then they let her into a new room. You know what that room was like for her? Disneyland! It was probably one of the most exciting places ever. New smells, new sounds, so much to explore. Some new place, woohoo! And more exploring means more sniffing, and more sniffing means more potty breaks are a must. And the fact that it was a new, exciting place means the pup definitely did not want to focus on her bladder and end this exciting time, only to go out and do something boring like a potty break. The best way to introduce a new room to a pup is after a potty break, on a leash, and we're going to make it short. You might do a few training games in the room to help keep the dog's mind more focused, and then guide her around, do a little sniffing. And the key word here is little, not too much. Just a few minutes is really plenty for the first introduction into a new room, and then back out for a potty break. You can keep doing this and extend the time spent in there until the room is a little more familiar, and it's not such a big and exciting space. Now, one more point to make here is that the human left the canine unsupervised. I know, it seems like it was safe, but when first rooms are introduced, we really can't let our pups be in there alone because this is what happens. And if you'll remember what I said earlier, we don't manage space to punish, we do it to prevent accidents. The more accidents your pup has in the house, the harder it will be to teach her to go in the right spot outside. So, manage that space, not your pup. Okay, I'm loving these. How about you? You ready to move on to the next one? Okay, next question. My 16-week-old lab goes potty outside, but often potties in the house and then immediately goes and rings the bell. How do we teach her it's the other way around? She also will ring the bell and then within a second pee right next to the door. how do we get her to wait for us to get her outside? We literally can't get there fast enough. Alright, for this one, I'm glad to hear that she's teaching her how to ring the bells. This is a great way for her to signal that she needs to go outside. But it does sound like the dog is cutting it a little close with the ringing. This is where the schedule is going to be important. Knowing when it's about time for your pup to have another potty break, and then making sure to get them out there in enough time for her to do her business is key. Now it sounds like the puppy's brain and her bladder are just now starting to communicate, and there's not a lot of advanced warning, so the schedule will be great here. Also, keeping a chart of when she went out last will help this person remember when it's about time to take her out again. It also sounds like she had a little too much freedom in the house too. You see how that point comes up a lot? Managing the space to prevent accidents. It's a big deal. I have a whole video on it. It's that important. Okay, let's see what's up next. We are bringing home a new puppy this weekend from the breeder. Thunderstorms and tropical storms are in the forecast for the next 7 days. How do you guys handle puppy outside potty time in general in rain? Please. Oh yes, the rain. I mentioned this one a little bit earlier with our friend in Chicago who had cold weather. But let's dig into this one just a little bit deeper. We want to teach our puppies to be like the Postal Service, to do their business in the rain and the sleet and snow and really anything else. This will come down to desensitization of the scary thing. This means going out in the rain or creating rain with the hose or just making a positive association with the rain through treats and play and your body language. Remember, be that birthday party. Start in small increments and pay attention to your puppy's body language. But the more you keep your body language and tone and voice positive, the more he will learn that it's a fun place to be. You can also create a covered pen for your potty spot if the pup needs a little more time to do his business. But you still want him to learn that going outside in the rain is no big deal. Okay, we have time for one more. Now, before I share the last question, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the next video goes live. Just out of curiosity, do you like this Q&A format? Are you learning a lot? Alright, before we work on this last one, I do have to tell you that this is actually one of the ways that we do our Zoom calls for our students who have joined the pro level of the online course. So every Wednesday we have a Zoom call and we have scenarios just like this one, only they're not all about potty training. Usually they're about things like biting and other unwanted behaviors. And we have this really great resource that we share with our students. We refer to it as the Becoming a Dog Detective Worksheet. So we examine the problem that the puppy owner has or is presented to us, and then we dig in and we see how we can come up with solutions to help him or her. So through this process, the students actually learn much more about puppy training. And then they can apply those same concepts to their own lives with their own puppies. So if this is something that you could benefit from, go ahead and check out the link to the course. It can be found below this video. Okay, here we go with our last question. Layla is a 12-week-old German Shepherd. She gets excited when my husband comes home from work, and she will pee. Is this normal? And will this stop? Oh, Layla, I get excited too when my family comes home, but peeing in the house is not good manners. This is called excited pee, and often happens when our pups have strong emotions, including excitement or even anxiety and fear. The thing we want to do here is desensitize this exciting or scary thing and help Layla learn that 1, it doesn't have to be so exciting that she needs to pee her pants, and 2, what do we want her to do instead of get excited? So I have a whole video on this topic that goes into more detail on this. You can check that out here, and even more detail than that is in the online course. I wish that I could tell you step 1, step 2, and step 3, and then that's it. It's exactly what to do. But dog training doesn't actually work like that all the time. It involves teaching skills that are built on other skills and working on communication between canine and human. It's actually a whole big thing, which is why I have a whole course on it. And I can't just simply tell you how to fix this one in a Facebook post or even online. I can tell you what to do, but telling you how to do it will definitely take a lot more time than we have. Just for example, when we work on this skill, we have to first start without any distractions present. That means nobody coming through the door. And as we've mentioned before, we have to teach the puppy where we ultimately want them to be when people come in the door. There's probably some leash skills involved, especially if your puppy doesn't really work well on a leash just yet. And you might even have to teach your puppy things like sit, or leave it, or down, and stay. We might even work up to adding someone else that the dog knows into the training practice sessions. So we do a lot of what we call pre-training, or these practice sessions before the show. So the show would be somebody walking in the door, and we would need to actually practice a lot of that beforehand, a lot of the training, so that our dog would actually understand what to do. And we even have to tell the people entering the house what we want them to do as well. Oftentimes, they enter the home super excitedly, they pet the dog, they send the dog into an overexcited state of mind. This definitely leads to accidents on the floor. After all, eye contact and verbal cues, even body posture are all signals that really excite our dogs. So as you can see, we're missing a lot of information from this person's question to actually fully answer how to stop this behavior. But as I mentioned before, if this is something that you are experiencing too, the video link I shared a moment ago, plus the lessons in the course, will definitely help you solve this problem. Okay, we're at the end of our time here. Did you learn a lot? In the comments below, tell me something you learned today. See you in the next lesson.